What's going on, shoe fanatics? Welcome back to the channel. Today we have an early look for you guys, but early is like relative these days. It don't really matter. It's just a look at a shoe that's probably one of the most anticipated, but also one of the most controversial shoes to be released this year. Let's go ahead and talk about it. If you're new here, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe, share, do all that good stuff, all right? As you can see, you have a standard Air Jordan 4 box. This is a true box, true to the OG box that released way back in 1989. Now, the size tag does say Air Jordan 4 Retro, off-white, military blue. That's it, off-white military blue. Opening up the top, you have white cement splatter paper instead of the black trash paper that some of the Jordan 4s come with. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm beyond pleased to present to you the Air Jordan 4 military blue. So let's discuss this, because typically I say first we'll talk about the shoe and then we'll talk about the shoe, but I kind of got to talk about the shoe while I'm talking about the shoe. Bear with me. On the bottom, you do have herringbone traction pattern. Of course, this was the first time herringbone traction pattern has been used on the Air Jordan silhouette. The 1s, 2s, and 3s all had radial traction patterns. This was the first one that Tinker Hatfield designed with the herringbone traction. Now, coming up to the midsole, you do have a white 5-on midsole with a white paint job on it, a white paint job. Of course, you had the Nike Air and the Nike Air, and you had the see-through air bubble, par for the course. Now, on the upper of the midsole, you do have a painted military blue colorway. Now, the reason why I emphasize military blue is because a lot of you guys were used to the previous releases where the shade of blue was a little bit lighter than this one. Guys, we asked for it and we received it. This is a true-to-life OG replication of the shoe that dropped in 1989, and this blue was the one that was used on that release, not the one from 2012, which I'll talk about a little bit later. Moving on up, then we had this very, very smooth suede nubuck, probably a nubuck on the toe cap as well as down here on both the lateral and medial sides. Again, it's very smooth, different from what we're used to. Now, the next controversial take, the color of the upper that's kind of just okay material-wise. I'm gonna go ahead and press on camera so you guys can see the bounce back. Actually, take the paper out of it. Hold on a second. Now I'll press on camera so you guys can see the pushback. That leather material, the colorway is off-white, not white what some people were expecting. More on that later though. But yes, an off-white upper, true to the OG specs. Underneath those nets, you do have a military blue color blocking. You have pure white wings with a military blue tip on top of it. True to the OG shape and revised for 2024, you have a thinner tongue up top with that leather material. And of course, you have a flight patch with the blue Jumpman on it. We have a standard cloth sock liner on this one, nothing particularly special about it. On the interior, not sure if the camera's going to pick this up, you have a military blue insole with the white Nike Air lettering. On the back, the return finally of the Nike Air. Again, true to the 1989 OG release. And of course, you have a kind of somewhat soft heel tab, so you guys can be a little bit thankful for that. So as far as the shoe composition is concerned, that's pretty much it. This is a Air Jordan 4 2024 release, which does have a better shape, which is adapted from the Nike SB Jordan 4 Pine Green. And if I'm not mistaken, that shape is very close to the 1989 release. So all in all, guys, we do have the best of both worlds. We have the 1989 release back in its full form with some SB Jordan 4 kind of tidbits included, but we'll talk more about that in a minute. So as I mentioned, the Air Jordan 4 Military Blue was one of 4 original colorways to drop initially in 1989. It came out alongside perhaps the most famous Jordan 4 of all time, the Jordan 4 Black Cement, aka the Bread, in the nubuck material. Of course, another great colorway. This is the Jordan 4 Fire Red. And unfortunately, I don't know what I'm going to do about this. It also released alongside the Air Jordan 4 White Cement, again, back in 1989. So now if you include that Jordan 4 White Cement that came out in 2016, you now have a complete re-release of all the original Air Jordan 4s, almost in their original condition. Now, the reason why I say almost, because this Black Cement, this Fire Red, and this White Cement all have a revised shape, not true to the OG like the Jordan 4 Military Blue. But as far as close approximations are concerned, this is about it. This is about as close as we're going to get probably for some time to the original Air Jordan 4 lineup. And I am thrilled about that, to be honest. But if I can't say one thing, I'm reminded of the old saying, comparison is the thief of joy. We have been getting some pretty good Jordan 4s released here in the last couple of weeks. This one is no exception. However, we have been used to certain things at this point. Now, first, let's talk about the Air Jordan 4 in the military black colorway. And of course, what's in the name? Direct inspiration. This shoe is obviously based off of this shoe, and they're actually pretty identical with the exception of, again, the original shape that's on this particular shoe. And as I have mentioned previously, that the only way you get a Nike Air is typically on collabs, special projects, or OG colorways. And as such, this one has a Jumpman on the back. Now, some people at this point will maintain that once this shoe came out and they had the opportunity to compare these shoes, they will maintain that this shoe is probably the more superior shoe. First and foremost, not sure how much the camera's gonna pick up, but if you take a look in here, come in a little bit closer, you can see that this leather is actually a lot more tumbled. It does have a little bit more plush or look to it than the kind of smooth leather that's on the military blue colorway. And so oftentimes we trick ourselves into thinking that this material happens to be superior to this one, even though it's just really a little bit of the same thing, just kind of pressed or rolled in. I mean, really, it's all the same when you think about it. But that tumble material is all over the shoe, including the lateral, medial side, as well as back here on the actual ankle part. Additionally, the suede on this particular one is much nicer, right? This means it's a longer hair suede, and you can actually feel the movement in this particular suede, again, in converse to the actual smooth suede on the military blue. But again, the biggest and most jarring difference is the actual white colorway of the actual military black versus the military blue. As I mentioned, back in 1989, this shoe did come with an off-white upper. Here, the actual colorway on this shoe is black and white. And there, hopefully the camera will pick up the difference. You should see a noticeable difference in the hues of the white on the shoe. One's off-white and one is white. Again, another heavy hitter that came out last year was the one that I mentioned earlier, the Jordan 4 SB in the pine green colorway. This was kind of the one that was gonna set the benchmark going forward. This is so much better. Oh my God, so much better. But again, you can't see the difference in these particular shoes. One has a sail upper and one does have an off-white colorway. Gonna hold all three of these shoes up together and hopefully you guys will be able to see the differences in the white across all three shoes. And so that's part of the problem. The shoe does have a nice look to it. Again, very true to OG, but the problem is because it is off-white, it contrasts to the gray, and then you have this military blue, it has a tendency to the naked eye to make the upper look like it's stained with blue in it. And I promise you, I don't think it's stained. I don't think there's any bleeding of the blue onto the white. I just believe that the contrast between the white midsole, the kind of gray toe cap, and this off-white blue upper here kind of makes it blend and says, hey, something must have happened with this upper, and they firmly believe that it's because of this blue military kind of leaking on there, but that's not the case, guys. It's off-white, true OG. The military blue also has a pressure of going up against the Air Jordan 4 in their Bread Reimagined colorway. This shoe is held in high regard for a lot of people, those people who never got around to grabbing the OG release, which came out in 2019. So again, comparison is the thief of joy. This shoe being held in such high regard alongside with this Nike SB version really takes some of the wind out of the sails of the military blue. However, if you're a collector like me, this shoe is absolutely positively a must cop. Now, I know people hate when we use that phrase must cop and all this other stuff, but for me, in my collection, I definitely have to have this particular shoe. Now, again, I keep using the word controversial, and I promise I'll stop saying it after this, but because people are comparing it to that 2006 version that came out as well as the 2012, that's kind of left a bad taste in people's mouth. Not to mention, both the grade school and some men's pairs are rife with quality control issues. Now I'm taking a look at mine and I don't particularly see anything bad, but there's a lot of places where there's glue stains or just bad creases that come from the factory. And I had no doubt that these are gonna crease probably terribly. Probably real bad, like probably real bad. But shoes are meant to be worn, and I'm definitely gonna go ahead and enjoy these guys. So that being said, with the exception of the Vivid Sulfur 4s, as well as the White Gold Women's 4s that came out a couple of months ago, these are just about some of the more recent releases from the Air Jordan 4, and I'm curious, where does the Air Jordan 4 Military Blue slot in for you? All right, leave me a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. Guys, I'm gonna go ahead, go outside, put these joints on feet. These drop for a price tag of $215, I believe, sometime in May. Now the date keeps getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. I almost want to say it's like May 4th at this point, but check the sneakers app. The information will be on there. Let me know, do you plan to cop these for the toe? Do you plan to cop these for nostalgia? Are you gonna avoid them altogether because you just can't abide by the off-white? You think they're just not superior to the other shoes they released? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. All right, so do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe, share, comment, do all that good stuff. And until the next one, I have been Jay Shoe Fanatic, and we out of here. Not smell. Oh, the original cut. There it absolutely is. I might like it better than the 2020 version.